Ever wonder about life's mysteries? And how what we may not be aware of may be affecting the outcomes of we here on earth. With permission from Dr. Palsmasters, founder of the University of Sedona, I'd like to share with you one of his mystical insights. Dr. Masters' mystical insights are based on over 50 years of consciousness research with thousands of his students. Today's subject's based on his conclusions after half a century of research. The subject is on the effectiveness and non-effectiveness of spiritual practices. Do prayers, visualizations, affirmations, or other spiritual practices really work? Or if they only work sometimes, why? This question is asked repeatedly by many. Those who ask for prayer and those who pray or use some other spiritual practice for themselves or others. With the progression in spiritual awakening, the answers change. As an example, in the old-time basic fundamentalist religion, prayer for most is a pleading, a begging, or a hoping for some desired result. As a person moves in spiritual awareness to a higher plane of consciousness or understanding, such as that of New Thought or basic metaphysics, the pleading and begging cease, and prayer becomes an affirming that through God's power, the desired effect is already so. The question then becomes, which is most effective? Old-fashioned prayer or newer, New Thought prayer? If the truth be told, both can be effective, and at the least give the illusion of effectiveness to one's personal perception. Or on the other hand, whether one uses traditional, New Thought, or any other spiritual practice, the results can prove to be ineffective. Why is this? Does God favor one person or religion over another? The answer found in all results is that God has no favorites. Why then? For a moment, become reflective and ask yourself this question. What if every prayer were answered favorably, and every other form of spiritual practice brought about the requested result? Keep also in mind that the initiation of most spiritual practices is for the betterment of one's own condition in some way without thought of others. During such times, the false, personal sense of ego identity with limited awareness attempts to influence God as to what to do. If everyone received exactly what was prayed for, visualized, or affirmed for, what would humankind then live? Would it live in a perfect world? Whether individuals engage in any spiritual practices for the good of one's person, or even the entirety of creation, they still do not even begin to have the awareness necessary concerning the final result. Instead of a perfect world, there would be chaos. The reality is that humankind collectively, as it exists in consciousness on this physical plane of existence, does not possess sufficient awareness to truly know what to ask for or desire. Only universal presence, or God, knows what is best for any one person, or the totality of universal existence. The answer? From God's vantage point, within the innermost consciousness of every soul, universal presence knows when to respond and when not to, which is in and of itself a response. At all times, God, or universal presence, knows what is best for the individual soul's eternal existence and for all souls manifesting collectively as humanity on the physical earth plane of existence. Universal consciousness, presence, or God, as creator and sustainer, recognizes that all that is taking place everywhere must be in harmony and balance on a universal scale. Without harmony and balance, as previously slated, chaos would ensue throughout the physical and other dimensional universe. to grant the requested results to everyone who used some manner of spiritual practice to bring about some desired result without awareness of how such a result would set up a universal chain reaction would be pure folly. When any spiritual practice is an attunement and alignment with universal will, results will seem to take place. The lack of results will seem to be the outcome when the spiritual practice is not in attunement and alignment with universal presence or God's will. Keep in mind that this is true whenever the false personal sense of ego identity is engaged in any spiritual practice, and that universal presence or God is totally in control at all times. There comes a time in the life of every soul that an emptying out of personal ego takes place, with the subsequent replacement of universal God presence consciousness. The intention is to bring the energy field of the soul's human manifestation into greater harmony, balance, or alignment with manifesting universal energy or universal God consciousness spirit. In this way, it is universal consciousness or God entering into the awakening person's surface frontal consciousness that creates the prayer, visualization, affirmation, or other spiritual practice, and the personal ego is less and less involved. It is then God who creates the prayer that is prayed. It is then God who visualizes the visualization. It is then God who affirms the affirmations. It is then God who is directing any other spiritual practice. As this emptying out is always a work in progress, while the soul is in human form, this alteration is not taking place 100% of the so-called time. Occasionally, because of the illusions of sense perceptions, the false personal ego might appear to be in control. But as universal awareness, Christ-mindedness, or its equivalent, gains more control, those momentary lapses become fewer. Summing up, suffering, whether in oneself or in others, cries out for relief, and it is a human reflex to pray, visualize, affirm, or engage in spiritual practice. Eventually, the suffering will subside, whether by healing or seeming death, soul transition. In the interim, chaos is avoided and universal existence is saved. The soul, as a result, enjoys the beauty of harmony and balance within itself and all that surrounds it. Always keep an awareness that universal presence is eternally in control for the ultimate good of every soul. And so, what will be, because it already is. We will be presenting more of Dr. Masters' mystical insights on the station KUOSFM.com every week. For more free complimentary lectures and insights, click on to the University of Sedona's website at universityofsedona.com.